Most people think generational wealth is built by people who are exceptionally good at making money, people who picked the right stock or started the right business or got lucky at exactly the right time. That story is more comforting than the truth, because the truth is this: the people who actually build wealth that outlasts them are almost never the ones who earned the most. They're the ones who were consistently willing to do things that felt uncomfortable. Not painful, not extreme, just quietly, persistently uncomfortable. And I want to walk you through exactly what those habits look like, because most of them don't look like discipline from the outside. They look like nothing. They look like inaction. They look, honestly, a little strange. If you've ever done the math and felt like your paycheck should be building more than it is, this is probably why. And the fix isn't more income. It's 5 habits that most people never develop because nobody tells them that the discomfort is the point. Before we get into the habits, I want to reframe something. Because when most people hear uncomfortable financial habits, they imagine extreme frugality, eating rice and beans, never going out, refusing to buy anything that isn't strictly necessary. That's not what I'm talking about. The discomfort I'm describing is subtler than that. It's the feeling you get when you could do something, you can afford to do something, and you consciously choose not to, because you understand what that choice is actually costing you long term. That is a different kind of discomfort than deprivation. It's not about what you can't have, it's about what you're choosing not to prioritize yet. And once you feel that distinction in your body, once it clicks, these habits stop feeling like sacrifice and start feeling like the most logical thing in the world. But that click takes time, and until it happens, each of these habits will feel wrong. So let's talk about why. Habit number 1, never upgrading your life when your income rises. When your income goes up, whether that's a raise, a promotion, a bonus, a new job, there is a moment that happens in almost every household in America. The number goes up. And then, gradually, the spending goes up to meet it. A nicer apartment, a newer car, better restaurants, a vacation that's a little more expensive than last year's. None of these feel irresponsible. In fact, most of them feel earned, because they were earned. You worked harder, you got more, you get to enjoy more. The first uncomfortable habit is to not do that, or at least not immediately, not automatically. The people who build generational wealth experience the raise but don't express it, not because they're punishing themselves, but because they understand what a raise actually is at that stage of life. It's not a reward to be spent, it's acceleration capital. It's the difference between reaching financial independence at 58 and reaching it at 51. The discomfort is almost entirely social, because everyone around you is upgrading. Your peers are moving into bigger places, driving newer cars, posting nicer vacations. Keeping your lifestyle flat while your income rises feels almost antisocial. It feels like you're doing it wrong. You're not. You're just playing a different game with a longer time horizon. Habit number 2, watching your portfolio drop and doing absolutely nothing. The S&P 500 drops 10% or more in any given year roughly once every 18 months. If you hold a diversified index portfolio long enough, you will watch your account lose the equivalent of a year's salary on paper, multiple times. And every time it happens, your body will react as if the threat is physical, because to your nervous system, it is. Financial loss activates the same neurological response as physical danger. Cortisol floods in, the mind narrows. The instinct, powerful, insistent, physiologically real, is to do something. Move the money, sell before it gets worse, get out and wait until it's safe. The second habit is the one that looks like the least: holding, not selling, not moving, not calling your broker in a panic, just sitting with the discomfort of watching a number go down and trusting the math over the emotion. This is the hardest habit on this list for most people. Not because it requires discipline in the conventional sense. It requires something rarer: the ability to feel fear in real time and choose inaction anyway. Every major study on retail investor returns shows that the average person earns significantly less than the index they're invested in, not because they picked bad funds, because they panic sold at the bottom and missed the recovery. The habit that builds wealth isn't picking the right investment, it's not touching the right investment when everything inside you says to run. Habit number 3, saying no to the social spend. There is a category of spending that has nothing to do with what you want and everything to do with who's watching. The group trip you were invited on but didn't really want to take. The birthday dinner at the restaurant where the bill, split evenly, comes out to $140 per person. The colleague's fundraiser. The wedding gift that stretched further than felt comfortable. The neighborhood upgrade because everyone else on your street is renovating. This is social spending, and it is, by a significant margin, the most invisible leak in a middle-class financial life, because it's wrapped in love, belonging, and identity. Saying no to it doesn't feel like a financial decision. It feels like a social one. It feels like you're opting out of connection. The third habit is learning to distinguish between things you genuinely want to spend money on and things you're spending money on because the situation made it feel mandatory. This doesn't mean withdrawing from your relationships. It means being conscious about which ones you're funding. The people who build generational wealth are not socially isolated. They're just selective. They show up fully to the things that matter, and they're honest, internally at minimum, about the things that are really just social maintenance with a price tag. The discomfort is real. People notice when you don't come. People notice when your gift is smaller. There will be moments that feel awkward. That awkwardness is the price of a very different financial future. Habit number 4, building a second income stream before you need one. Most people start thinking seriously about passive income or a side business when something goes wrong. The job feels unstable. A colleague gets laid off unexpectedly. A health scare arrives before financial independence does. The fear lights up and they start scrambling. And scrambling is the worst possible time to build something. The fourth uncomfortable habit is building income streams before they feel necessary. When you have a stable salary, a full schedule, a comfortable routine, and plenty of reasons to spend your evenings and weekends doing anything other than building something that won't pay you back for 2 or 3 years. The discomfort here is pure opportunity cost. Every hour you spend on something that isn't paying you yet is an hour you could have spent resting or being with your family or doing something that has an immediate reward. Building before you need to requires accepting a worse present for a better future, and doing it without the urgency that would make the trade feel obvious. The people who reach financial independence consistently say the same thing in hindsight. I wish I started the second income stream sooner when the stakes were lower and the pressure was off, not when I was desperate, when I was comfortable. Comfortable is precisely when it's hardest to start. That's exactly why it works. Habit number 5. Automating wealth away before you've earned the comfort of it. This one sounds mechanical. It is the most psychologically deep habit on this list. The people who build generational wealth don't trust themselves to save what's left over because they understand something important about human psychology. If the money hits your account, it will be spent. Not recklessly, just gradually, invisibly, in 100 small ways that each feel reasonable in the moment. So they remove the decision entirely. Before the paycheck lands, a percentage has already moved to a brokerage, to a retirement account, to a high-yield savings account building toward the next investment. The money never touches their hands. It never had a chance to become spending. The discomfort is that this forces you to live on less than you earn immediately, before you've adjusted, before you've worked up to it. It feels aggressive. It feels premature. Most people feel like they need to wait until they're more comfortable financially before they can afford to invest that much. But that moment, the moment you feel comfortable enough, tends not to arrive because lifestyle inflates with income. The expenses that feel temporary become permanent. The once things settled down threshold keeps moving forward. Automating wealth out before you see it removes the negotiation entirely. You simply never have the conversation with yourself about whether this month is a good month to invest. You've already invested. Now you live on the rest. Here's what I want you to understand about each of these habits. Every one of them has a phase where it feels like sacrifice, where you're aware of the gap between what you could do and what you're choosing to do, where the discomfort is front and center. And then something shifts. It happens at a different point for everyone, but it happens. The moment you stop experiencing these habits as restrictions and start experiencing them as expressions of who you are. You stop seeing your salary as income you're managing and start seeing it as raw material you're deploying. You stop watching the market out of fear and start not watching it at all because you trust the process. At that point, these habits stop being uncomfortable. They become the default, and that is when they start compounding, not just financially, but psychologically. The identity shift is the most powerful thing that happens on this journey, and it's also the thing nobody talks about. So here is what I want you to actually do with this information. The next time your income rises, for any reason, before you let the lifestyle adjust, let 90 days pass. See what it feels like to earn more without spending more. Just 90 days. You can always upgrade later. You can't unspend what's already gone. The next time the market drops, I want you to do one thing. Close the app. Not forever, just for 24 hours. Give your nervous system a day to separate the emotion from the decision. Markets recover. Panic selling does not. Before your next social obligation that carries a price tag, ask yourself one honest question. If this event were free, would I actually want to be there? The answer tells you everything about whether you're spending on connection or spending on social pressure. Choose one thing, one skill, one asset, one income stream that you will start building this quarter. Not because you need it now, because the version of you who needs it in 5 years will be grateful that this version started. And this week, automate one transfer. Whatever the amount, whatever the account. Set it up so it moves before you see it. Remove the decision. Let the habit run without you. Generational wealth is a phrase we use to talk about money, but what it actually describes is a pattern, a set of behaviors passed down not through inheritance, but through example. Through watching someone you trust do things that felt counterintuitive and eventually understanding why. The inheritance isn't the portfolio. The inheritance is the relationship with money, the discipline that looks like inaction, the comfort with discomfort, the ability to hold a long-term frame when everything in the short term is pulling you toward a different decision. That is what you are building when you practice these habits. Not just wealth, a different way of being in relationship with money, one that your children will absorb before they're old enough to articulate it, because they watched you do it. The discomfort you choose today is the inheritance you leave behind.